Have the Mavericks restored the connection between themselves and the fans? What Rick Welts had to say about it. And we'll talk about it coming up next on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato. We, of course, are DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys, cover your favorite team every single day. What will constitute a successful season for Cooper Flagg? Plus, have the Mavericks restored the connection between themselves and the fan base? A lot to get into on this Wednesday episode. Thank you for joining us here on DLLS Sports. Shout out to our guy, Bobby Corella, who's going to be on vacation for the next week, so he's going to get a chance to get some R&R, and we'll hold it down here with our guy Marc Stein coming up at 12:30 here on the show. Tim Cato, what's going on?
I have a feeling, unlike you, that we will not see Bobby in the comments.
That's true.
Online, in the text chats.
That's right.
I am pretty sure that this man might have left his phone in Dallas. Not his computer, because that's where the Pokemon is.
He did say he would join us live when LeBron joins the Mavericks, so we may see Bobby at some point over the next week.
God, LeBron, do the funniest thing and make Bobby fly back from vacation early.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or at least make him join the show while he's on vacation.
No, he'd have to fly back.
Oh, he'd have to come all the way back here just to do the...
Yeah, I mean, there'd be a lot to coordinate.
There would be a lot to discuss for sure.
How would we operate as a company without Bobby Corella?
Well, we're gonna
our leading light, our guiding voice.
Well, we're gonna try over the next week because he's not here. So have fun, my guy, on vacation. We've got a lot to get into in today's show. As we mentioned, our guy Marc Stein was joining us at 12:30. The Mavericks have announced their preseason schedule and officially where they're going to be holding training camp this upcoming fall. Plus, a lot of breaking news when it comes to the NBA and what's going to be happening overseas this upcoming preseason as well. But we start with our first topic today because Mavericks CEO Rick Welts was on Bloomberg TV a couple of days ago discussing the state of the franchise for the Mavericks, where they are, potentially a new arena coming in the next several years, what that will look like, but also what the state of the franchise is in the wake of the Luka Dončić trade now that Cooper Flagg, of course, the number one overall pick for your Dallas Mavericks, is now part of this franchise. Let's start with this, Tanner. Question was posed to Rick Welts about the connection with the fans. If there's been any regrets about the Luka Dončić trade, here is what Rick Welts had to say.
I got to go back, though, to Luka, and I'm just curious, we've all done things where we're like, if I could do that over. And you talked about the 100 days of grieving. Do you have any regrets, or did you learn anything, especially, based on your fan reaction? But first of all, any regrets in making the trade?
You can't have fear or regrets in this business, right? It's all about how you move forward. And, so it doesn't really serve a purpose to have regrets. What I will say, I learned about the depth of the connection between Mavericks fans and this team. And that to me was glass half full, because I knew we could restore that over time. I didn't think it would happen quite as quickly, perhaps, as it's happened. I would also say I'm incredibly proud of how the organization presented itself for Luka's first game back at American Airlines Center when he was a Los Angeles Laker. I think if you watched that game, it was an opportunity for fans to say thank you. I think you saw the emotion on Luka's face. You saw the way that night unfolded in tributes to Luka. I think he'll always be such a big part of the history here. And, we wish him nothing but good luck, but we also hope we beat his team every time we play him going forward.
You can't have fears or regrets in this business. It's all about how you move forward. I learned about the depth of the connection between Mavericks fans in this team. Tim Cato, your reaction to what Rick Welts had to say there?
as Ganga Dean said just now in the comments, it's a corporate answer, and it is. And what are the Mavericks to say? Like, there is nothing the Mavericks as a franchise gain benefit if they say, yeah, we regret that trade. We had no idea, like they're never going to say that. They're never at any point going to say that. They have to answer the question in some way. I do believe, based on combos I've had, and combos with people in the team, combos with people who talk to people at higher levels, and if the Mavericks at least, like, they get it. Like, there are certain people within the organization who did not realize that this backlash was going to be what it was. And if they had known, maybe, possibly, it would have been something different. Maybe this would not have been something that happened. But they didn't know. They didn't know. And certainly that's, I would pose that, I would say that is a hypothetical that people think about. I would agree that what Rick Welts said, saying there's no regrets, that they have to operate with no regrets, I would say that is the correct description of the Mavericks franchise and of how they're operating going forward. If there was truly regret, and I mean this in a way that they still probably will never admit it, but Nico Harrison would not be the GM if there was so much regret within the franchise that they felt like it was a mistake. Like, they would have gone ahead and I really think made changes if they felt a deep sense of regret. I do think that hypothetical comes up with important people within the organization. And as far as the connection, have you established the connection? Have you reestablished the connection? On one hand, it's not for us to say. Stop me if you've heard me say this before. You have heard me say this before. Every fan has their own relationship to the team.
Sure.
And when we talk about the fan base, when I talk about the fan base, I am not referring to any individual person. I am doing my best to summarize hundreds and thousands of unique opinions into a broad strokes. I went on and, I remember, like, on the low post, or it's not the low post anymore, the Zach Lowe show that I was on Monday. I remember he asked me to kind of summarize. And I do think that the majority of fans, broadly speaking, want to root for the Mavericks. They want to. And there is a segment of the fan base that just almost for moral reasons, which I kind of get, and we're talking much lower stake morality than, like world events or politics or stuff like this. It's sports. But sports are important. They matter because we assign meaning to them. And there are some people who just flat out have moved on, have irreparably, their relationship to the team has changed. There's a lot more who want to root for them. I've said this before. I think the saddest group of fans are the fans who tried to keep rooting for the Mavericks, kept watching games, and just the emotions weren't there anymore. And I do think Cooper Flagg has covered over a lot of that. And I do wonder if and when Luka gets off to a blazing hot start and the Lakers are top 4 in the Western Conference, near Christmas, and the Mavericks just aren't quite that because they started the season without Kyrie Irving, and maybe Anthony Davis wasn't ready, or maybe he was and then he missed some time, and Derek Lively is in and out of the lineup, and if this just doesn't gel, I do wonder how much those emotions are going to come back in a very strong way. So I don't think the relationship is fully repaired. I think it's coated over.
Sure.
And I think that it's in a better place where the Mavericks have more autonomy over it. And I think that's important because as soon as you traded Luka, we talked about this after they traded Luka, everything was about, like, the entire way that this would fail or not was what Luka did with the Lakers. And now at least you have Cooper Flagg. You have a new era, and you have the ability to restart everything with Cooper Flagg in place and win fans back that way. And maybe you can thread it by doing the 2-timeline thing and doing it all at once because Cooper is here and the exciting new future is here. Dallas has more autonomy over it, but I don't think the relationship is repaired fully. And I think, I think it's going to take longer for that to happen, or it's going to take Cooper's ascension for that to happen.
Yeah, I think a couple things. Number one,
Sorry, really long answer.
No, you're fine. I think there should be a recognition.
Just pretend that was me and Bobby both answering.
Got it.
And now it's back to you.
Got it. For some fans, they will never heal from this trade. And for those who don't, that is the connection that they had with the player and the franchise in a way that they felt that the trust was broken in the wake of this trade. Now, for fans that are still a part of this team and a part of this fan base, if there wasn't the understanding and the recognition of what the player meant to the franchise, now you have the opportunity with Cooper Flagg to be able to not only reestablish that connection, but double down on the ability to understand what the player will mean to the franchise and this fan base going forward. And oh, by the way, if you do some winning along the way, that can help restore some of the connection. But there has to be a true sense of understanding about what has happened here, but also moving forward. How can you put Cooper Flagg in a position to not only be embraced by this fan base, but also ensure that the fan base is embracing the franchise in a way that's deep and meaningful to be able to reestablish some of that trust? Because inevitably, with the trade, the trust between the fan base and the franchise was broken. You do now have a chance with Cooper Flagg at this team to be able to figure out the best way to move forward so that everyone can feel good about this team. Because I imagine most fans want to feel good about this team and the era that's about to happen with Cooper Flagg. Now that it's here, how do the Mavericks consistently and daily build upon that so that when fans come to games, attend games, watch games, they feel good about not only the product, but the fact that Cooper Flagg is going to be a part of this franchise and that connection will be established for years to come, given what he could be meaning to this fan base in the wake of this trade at this point.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And certainly there are fans who are over it. This is what I mean when I don't speak. I try to generalize what a lot of fans are feeling. There are certainly fans who are just purely want to be Mavericks fans. There's fans that disagree with what happened, disagree with the trade, disagree, are sad that Luka is gone, but they're just Mavs fan. Like they've reached the point where they accept I am a Mavericks fan, and so I am going to root for Cooper Flagg, and it's very exciting to root for Cooper Flagg because he's Cooper Flagg. So
they're going to be fans of this team no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah. And at times our comment section leans one way or leans the other way. Like right now, I think it is leaning, more towards the Nico has to go until we can heal. I'm seeing a lot of comments like that. Trust me, like the other side, and there is a percentage, a noticeable chunk of the fan base that does feel that other way and often are represented in that way. So I guess the other thing is the Mavericks just hired. Do we have one more clip to play?
We'll be able to get to it at some point, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I was going to talk about the incoming CEO, Ethan Kaysen, who comes
new
from
president. That's right.
Yeah, he's the CEO and president of the business side operations. Doesn't really have anything to do with basketball, but because we're talking about fans, I just wanted to bring up real quick a quote from Rick Welts. It's from the team statement. He says of Kaysen, Rick Welts does, he will be my partner in charting the team into the future and will allow me to devote more time to our strategic priorities, including the building of a new arena and entertainment district in Dallas, and our transition from a basketball organization to a sports and entertainment company operating our own venue. I know this is all fine in business, in corporate, and I'm sure that certain people in the Mavericks, I'm sure Rick Welts can run circles around me in terms of the exact business lingo and specifics of how all this works. All I'm going to say is that I don't think there's a lot of Mavericks fans who look at the Dallas Mavericks and think, oh, hell yeah, they're going to be a sports and entertainment company now.
Sure.
They're not a basketball organization. They're a sports and entertainment company. I know it's whatever. Corporations in this structure, in this society, in this country, they always aim to grow and expand and get bigger and make more profits and earn more revenue. That is the point within the structure, the American construct, is that a corporation is always aiming to, we're going to talk about NBA Europe a little bit later. And I think NBA Europe, for a lot of reasons, makes sense. And the NBA's argument is that they can run it better than Eurobasket and FIBA. But FIBA does exist. Basketball does exist in the NBA. It's just the NBA looking at basketball in Europe and saying, oh, we want a chunk of that. We want, we can make more money off what you guys are doing, even though there's a very long established culture. It does strike me a little bit like this, where it's like the team's priority is to keep growing this and, expanding what this corporation is. And the more I think of the word corporation and the more I think sports and entertainment company rather than basketball team, the less I think that the team is directly focused at repairing a relationship with the fan, with the working fan who just wants to go to games, support the team, support the players they love. I think this all ties in. The whole reason that you trade Luka Dončić is the idea that, oh, this is better for our bottom line because we're going to win a championship sooner. Even if, I'm super summarizing some of these thoughts, and I know we need to hit a break. But I just will say that as the team talks about repairing the relationship with the fan base, and then also talks about how business is booming and we're going to expand it into something never seen before in any NBA franchise, I just want to acknowledge, in my view, in my perspective, Tim Cato, my perspective on this, there is a little bit of a disconnect between what the Mavericks are pitching and selling and building and growing and the bottom line of our fans, the number one priority to the organization, like they will say in various interviews like Bloomberg and in other places.
Especially in the way it was managed from the time of the trade until the time that Cooper Flagg was drafted. There's a lot of repairing that has to be done between the fan base and this team. And it starts with recognizing that these fans are the most important, because without the fans, none of this really happens to begin with. Let's take our first break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, what constitutes a successful season for Cooper Flagg? Plus, a little bit later on, we'll be joined by our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, with all the news around the Mavs and the association. Coming up next. But first, I want you to look good. When you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you want to let everyone know how you feel and what you're wearing to show it off. And that's where Branded Bills comes in. With Branded Bills, whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees, Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. Looking for some gear to help make your brand stand apart from the crowd? Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. Start your order and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel that you need and love. They have a partnership also with 40 plus colleges as a part of their campus collection, just in time for the college football season that's coming up here next month, including TCU, Texas Tech, and of course, the Texas Longhorns. So make sure you head to brandedbills.com, use code BBDLLS for 15% off your first order. Again, that's BBDLLS for 15% off your first order with Branded Bills today.
Just like your favorite team needs a home court advantage in a sports and entertainment complex that definitely does not include gambling, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day of their lives. We've all been to the big box stores. You can wander around aimlessly, endlessly, perpetually. And then you finally find the flooring department, and there's probably a really nice guy named Greg there. But I'm going to tell you something about Greg. Probably doing sinks yesterday. He might be doing light bulbs tomorrow. Empire Today isn't like that. They live and breathe flooring. They're going to be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ballgame. They can bring the showroom right to your home. So schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. DLLS listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code DLLS. Yes, you heard that right, a $350 discount with code DLLS. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/DLLS for full details.
What constitutes a successful season for Cooper Flagg? Plus, we'll be joined by our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, coming up in our next segment at 12:30 with news around the association. And, of course, the Mavericks announcing their preseason and training camp schedule, which we'll get into here in just a moment. We've been talking, of course, about the comments from Rick Welts, the CEO of the Dallas Mavericks, who went on Bloomberg television to discuss the state of the franchise, where the Mavericks are, and what that means for them this upcoming season, where, of course, they will have not one, not two, but 3 number 1 picks on this franchise, with Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and, of course, Cooper Flagg joining this team. Expectations varying across the NBA when it comes to the Mavericks and their prospective season. But at the same time, Tim Cato, nothing is disputed when it comes to the anticipation of watching Cooper Flagg on the floor this upcoming year. Of course, the 6'8" product out of Duke led them to the Final Four in his lone season in Cameron. But at the same time, or I should say in Durham, he played in Cameron Indoor Stadium, of course. What will constitute a successful season for the number 1 overall pick, given not only the expectations for this team, expectations for him, what it means for the next couple of years, because this is a window, 3 years, Nico Harrison, that has been created where they feel like they have a chance to win a championship, as we've been talking about how the fan connection can be restored, how much winning that happened with Cooper Flagg around.
This is the weirdest situation a number 1 pick has come into, like, since Tim Duncan, obviously, where on one hand, like, when's the last time a team going into the season with the number 1 pick where the biggest storyline was not about the number 1 pick? Because I think Cooper's way up there. I think he's a huge storyline. Let me not undersell that. But I think the biggest story about the Dallas Mavericks remains Luka Dončić, Anthony Davis, the way that the team reshaped its roster. I still think that's like the national media is going to focus on both of those things. They're going to focus on Cooper Flagg, but they're going to focus on that part of the equation as well.
And the Kyrie Irving injury.
The Kyrie Irving injury.
Kyrie Irving injury.
So Cooper is coming into a team where he's going to be asked to do a lot. And he's going to have a lot of expectations to be good right away. Not just promising, not just showing potential, not just scoring 20 points, but inefficiently, because it's a rookie year. It doesn't matter. Get as many shots as you want. This is a training, this is a test lab. This is a laboratory for you to go refine your game and get better. That's the situation for most number 1 picks. Paolo, his first year, just got to shoot the ball as many times as he wanted. Wembanyama, his first year. You want to shoot a bunch of threes? By all means. We're going to let you figure out your game on the fly. I think, and again, this is kind of the disconnect of the Mavericks that we've talked about. Cooper Flagg, to some extent, I think he's going to get a lot of freedom to try stuff out, even as the team is dead focused on winning, on being a title contender. And we debate whether they think, a gap year where they're just like kind of a bang average, play-in team fighting for playoff positioning come March. Hopefully they get Kyrie back then. We're not even sure for sure whether the team is okay with that or not. And so it's both higher expectations and lower expectations in the sense that he's not the main storyline of any number 1 pick in the past 2.5 decades. I think a successful season is, rookie of the year, because I think he's the best rookie. And I think he's in a position where he's going to win.
And he's the overwhelming favorite to win it.
Yeah, he's the overwhelming favorite. Rookie of the year is obviously a success. I've said this before. I think, I think how he responds to whether you see growth, whether you see him being a better player in February and March than he was in October, is also very important. I think that's pretty much the case for any number 1. Like, you want to see them get even better as the year goes on, but especially when you look at like someone like Cooper, and he has always challenged himself to higher and higher levels of competition, and he has always, in doing so, he's always kept improving. I think that's going to be pretty important. I don't really have numbers for him. I think, I think he probably averages a bit under 15. I don't know if he's going to clear the 15 mark. 20 is like astronomically high.
Yeah, if he's averaging 20 points a game, he's had a hell of a rookie year.
Yeah, and I think that he can be easily the best rookie in the entire NBA, one of the best rookies in recent memory, and still average 15 because of everything else he does, because of the connective passing, because of everything else. I'd like to see, if he's going to be a number 1 option, I'd like to see a 35-point game or two.
An outburst or two throughout the course of the year.
That would be fun. That would be enjoyable. I mean, Zachary Risachet had like a 40-pointer. I'd like to see a game or two where we can see him as that uber number 1 option, if he is going to be that. And I think there are scenarios where he doesn't end up being. He ends up being like a top 20 player, but still just a second option, a top 30 player. Like, I think that's a great outcome for his career. I don't think we should put ceilings on it. Like, I think that this is a guy who maybe potentially can be top 10 player in the NBA at some point in his career. And it'd be cool if we started seeing that. But yeah, just the baseline excellence, I think, is what I most expect from him. And I think baseline excellence means he's the rookie of the year and means it isn't too close.
Yeah, one of the things I'm excited about when it comes to Cooper Flagg is the positions that the Mavericks are going to put him in to showcase his versatility. We know what we saw in Summer League in terms of him being on the ball, facilitating offense, going to go get his own offense for himself and for others, but also what there's going to be on the defensive side of the ball for him. He's going to be a tremendous, help defender and be able to be a really good help side and weak defender as well. So his offensive versatility, I think, for me, is what I'm most excited to see what develops for him throughout the course of the year, because defensively, he's going to fit right into what the Mavericks are trying to do for him, being one of the biggest teams in the NBA with Lively, Gafford, obviously Anthony Davis, Cooper Flagg going to be a part of that. But how much his offensive game grows and what is expected from him on that end of the floor, I think, is what is going to be the most exciting part for him. How he develops his three-point shot, how much more creative he gets in terms of his ability to understand what offenses or defenses are trying to do against him offensively, and how he improves from game to game, night in and night out. And I think a successful season for him, not only is he Rookie of the Year, but he has a chance where he's averaging 13 to 15 points per game, where he's getting 6 to 7 boards in a game, but also really affecting the defensive end and becoming a versatile aspect of that end of the floor, because we know how important Anthony Davis is going to be in terms of his defense this year. Cooper Flagg guarding multiple positions and his ability to do that, I think, gives the Mavericks that much more versatility to be creative on the defensive side of the ball, where Cooper can really shine this upcoming year for sure.
I want to see him everywhere. I want to see him as the ball handler creator. I want to see him running pick and rolls. I want to see him coming off screens. I want to see him setting screens. I want to see him off the ball. I want to see how great his cuts are. I want to see him in transition. I want to see him everywhere
I can't wait to see him in
defensively.
transition. Yes.
I want to see him guarding star point guards. I want to see him guarding centers at times. I want to see him switching everything. I want to see him as the low man who rotates over, tries to get a block. You know, I want to see him in staggered pick and roll sets where he's the third guy, you know, pick and popping for a three. I think that there is nothing on the basketball court that he is not at least competent at doing. And I want to see a little bit of everything. I do think that the one funny thing about the team construction is that some of the things he's best at is, you know, the weak side roaming help defender.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever he's on the court with Anthony Davis, more often than not, Anthony Davis is going to take that role. And he is certainly, Cooper Flagg is somebody who can run pick and rolls, set screens. He's somebody who can, triple threat from beyond the arc. And end up as a guy who pump fakes and gets to the rim. But I really like him as a post player. I really like him as a high post player. And what's funny is when he's on the court with Anthony Davis is going to be the priority to get those looks, the priority to be setting screens with the guard. Now, of course, like Cooper Flagg and Anthony Davis will run pick and rolls together. Probably like they're going to run inverted pick and Anthony Davis will be the ball handler with Cooper Flagg setting a screen. And I do think that the Mavs' future with a Kyrie Cooper pick and roll is just going to be that I am very excited to see. So I do want to see everything. I do think that it is interesting and fixable and
Sure.
not fixable. You can work through the fact that there's some redundancy in the spaces that Cooper Flagg and Anthony Davis are best because they're both very good basketball players, and Cooper is so versatile he can do everything. But I hope we get a chance to see him do literally everything early and often. And I think if there's one thing I'm most excited for, it's just seeing that versatility.
And I saw a comment earlier about how Cooper Flagg is not going to be first team All-NBA in 5 of his first 6 seasons. And look, comparisons are the thief of joy. And inevitably, Cooper Flagg is going to be compared to Luka Dončić just because of all the things that have transpired over the last several months and where Luka is and who he's playing for, and Cooper Flagg being a part of this team. But for this season, especially, I really just want to enjoy what he's going to look like as a player night in and night out, and how much more growth he's going to show every time he steps on the floor. And part of that molding into what this team expects to be, but also trying to navigate what's going to be a difficult Western Conference all season long. His growth and what that looks like for this team is going to be paramount in terms of any kind of success that they have. So I hope that folks will have fun watching Cooper Flagg, because he's going to be a hell of a player, one that I'm excited to see, especially in transition, because he is a freight train and a locomotive out there on the open floors we saw in Summer League. So there are going to be really exciting aspects about his game that should give fans the idea that light could be at the end of the tunnel with the skill set that he presents, not just offensively, but more so, especially in this first year that we're going to be watching on the defensive side of the ball, which this team is going to pride itself on the defensive end and being one of the best defensive teams in the league. He should fit right in to exactly what they're trying to achieve on that end of the floor. Let's take our next break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, we welcome in our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, with the latest on the Mavericks training camp schedule and news and notes around the association. They get ready to go overseas later on this year. All that and more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs podcast. But it's hot outside, especially in this Texas heat, and you want to have your cold beverage with you anytime that you want to step out and be able to enjoy yourself. With Rugged Road, you can be able to do that with their Rugged Road coolers. Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventures who demand the very best. Our products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions, whether you're on land or water. Rugged Road gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. They're crafted to handle the toughest environments. Their coolers are built to last as well, ensure they keep up with any adventure. Coolers are guaranteed to keep their contents cool for up to 7 days, but oftentimes much longer than that. So if you forget the drink is in there, don't worry. It's going to stay cold with Rugged Road coolers. They're perfect for a variety of outdoor activities as well, from fishing to tubing to camping and tailgating. These coolers are designed to meet the needs of every outdoor and sports enthusiast. So make sure you gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. They're reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Make sure you head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use code DLLS for 10% off today.
Hey, you right there. You behind the computer screen, phone screen, TV.
If you're listening,
I am talking to you right now. You've lost a pair of sunglasses. Don't lie to me. I know it has happened. I guarantee it has happened. Maybe it's been a favorite pair of sunglasses at the beach, the roof of your car, a gas station 3 states away, as I love to say, a patio bar where the sun goes down. Maybe this is time. Maybe this is a wake-up call to switch to Shady Rays, because Shady Rays has changed the game. They make sunglasses for real life. They're seriously good-looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. But here's the wild part. If you lose or break them even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com and use code DLLS35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Let's welcome in our national NBA insider, Marc Stein. You can always dial up the Stein line at the Stein line. Our guy has been busy this morning and into the afternoon here.
He's busy every day.
That is very true. He's busy all the time, but we appreciate him hanging out with us here for our last couple of segments on today's show. Marc, what's going on?
Hi, guys. Sorry for missing the first 2 segments. I greatly appreciate your flexibility. It has been a bit of a wild morning. And thank you.
Well, we appreciate you hanging out with us because we know that you're a very, very busy man. Let's start before we get to the stuff that's happening with the NBA as a whole overseas coming up this fall. The Mavericks officially announced today, Marc, that their preseason schedule and that they will officially be in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada for training camp this year, September 30th through October 4th. What more can you tell us about that?
I hope you didn't doubt me when we said it before.
No, I did not. You are the authority when it comes to news around this team.
Especially if it's Canada. I mean,
yes.
A training camp trip to Canada, Vancouver, one of the greatest NBA cities, a city we miss badly, those of us who were old enough and fortunate enough to go there and cover games there. So, yeah, they made it official today, September 30th through October 4th, Simon Fraser University. 4 exhibition games. If you guys haven't gotten to this part yet, I hope I can remember them off the top of my head. I know they're going to play the first game at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, if I'm remembering correctly.
Against Oklahoma City.
The bookend game is October 15th in Vegas against the Lakers, that your favorite guys who cover your favorite team might be in attendance for if everything goes well.
That's right.
We hope so. Are they home against Utah and away to Charlotte, or do I have that backwards?
Backwards.
Yeah, I couldn't remember it all.
They will be at home versus the Charlotte Hornets on October 11th. So shout out to Con Knipple. He'll be facing his former teammate, Cooper Flagg, in that game. That will be at American Airlines Center. And then, of course, at Utah, where the Mavericks will take on Ace Bailey and the Utah Jazz. That will be
Utah game.
That's right. He's not with the bell today. It's fine.
Utah game.
Utah lost.
He's very specific. It's got to be Utah lost.
I sure hope this isn't another
forced. So this is not a bell ringing.
This is not a bell ringing situation.
What?
Yeah, Tanner's the arbiter on this one today. No bell.
Marc Stein, how has it been 9 months and you still don't know the rules about the Utah loss? The
Tanner's
Utah
been
loss.
mad. Tanner has
been.
See, there
Tanner-
we go.
There we go.
Tanner has been kind of salty with all of us dating to yesterday.
Or he's just running a tight ship. He's like, look, get it together, okay? Get it together.
Year 2 Tanner, well, we're not quite in year 2 yet, but year
That's
2
right.
Tanner is clearly it's gonna be a different ball game.
We're almost there though.
I mean, look, again, I don't know. I mean, I hope we can get to Vancouver. That's not the easiest trip. They couldn't have picked much more of a faraway place from Dallas, but that's kind of the point. A lot of teams, some teams stay home, but a lot of teams like to get away as far away from their home base as is reasonable and bond. And, I don't know that there'll be 2-a-days every day, but I'm sure at least 1 or 2 of those days, Jason Kidd will schedule 2-a-days. And I don't know if any of it will be open to the public. My instinct is probably not. I don't think anything in Vegas. I don't remember anything in Vegas being open to the public. So this is really just to get far away and basically get the season off to a very team first, team friendly start. But look, you guys know I love my travel. If you're going to tell me that the preseason has training camp in Vancouver, a Vegas game mixed in. And you know what? I've only been to Dickies Arena once. I went to go watch the Women's Tennis Association finals. They're a massive, massive arena. I mean, that will be fun to go to a different part of the greater DFW area and see a game. In the preseason, I always want to go. I like going to places that we don't normally get to watch games at. Like, we just had dinner with my wife's parents were over. My youngest was celebrating a birthday, and they spoke of, my wife's parents are in the cattle business. They spoke of a trip to Sioux Falls, and instantly I remembered going to Sioux Falls, South Dakota with the Mavs nearly 30 years ago for an exhibition game. And look, in the 80s and 90s, Sioux Falls was a famous CBA city, like one of the most well-known outposts in the old Continental Basketball Association. If you ever have your guy Legler on, you can ask him for some Sioux Falls stories. So just like I fondly remember going with the Mavs to Sioux Falls. I remember the Mavs playing an exhibition game at Wisconsin, where of course Michael Finley, going back to his alma mater, that was a big deal. I like those preseason excursions. You guys can tell me how you feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, OKC plays in Tulsa every single preseason. To the point of camps elsewhere, certainly there's, I don't know off the top of my head, maybe 5 to 10 teams that consistently do camps not in their home city. Maybe it's a little bit more than that. There's also teams like the James Harden Rockets. They would do a pre-camp camp with all the players in usually the Bahamas or Jamaica, and that kind of was a similar thing.
I think a lot of teams are doing that now. Like those are never announced because those are supposed to be players only. But in the month of August, you will hear of teams that hold those gatherings. The Mavs did one last season. I remember. I think it was in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly wouldn't surprise me if we hear of something like that again. I mean, the Nuggets, they always go to San Diego, and I believe they're going back to San Diego. I remember being a Laker beat writer, going to Honolulu twice, and prayers to everyone in Hawaii facing these just terrible, terrible storm conditions. But so that, yeah, I mean that I mean, talk about a long way from home for a training camp trip. I remember going to Honolulu, working for ESPN, so being 5 or 6 hours behind the time zone of where I was working. That was strange. So in the preseason, we see some curveballs like that, and I am all for it. And Kevin Gray, we're putting Kevin Gray in charge of finding a way to get us to Vancouver. He's responsible.
Where there's a will, there's a way. We'll find it for sure.
What I do, Tim Cato, is I tell him every day we have no chance. There is no way we can make this work, and I know it just gets him.
Reverse psychology.
Yes, he wants to prove me wrong.
Don't tempt me with a good time, Stein. Don't tempt me with a good time.
Have you been to Vancouver?
I have never been to Canada, so I would love the opportunity to go to see our brothers and sisters.
Is there a Westgate in Vancouver?
I'll talk about that afterwards.
Oh, okay.
I thought about going one time where I spent like 10 days in Vegas for Summer League. Maybe not 10. I think it was 8. Then I went to San Francisco for a few days. And then I met your Substack co-writer, Jake Fisher. We swung through Portland for a few days on a little trip. And I thought about, what if I just tacked on a couple more days in Vancouver? But at that point, I was ready to go home. So I've never been. I have always wanted. And inshallah, this will be the moment that it happens.
We will see for sure. Before we take our next break here, I did want to ask you real quick, because yesterday was July 29th, which means it's exactly 1 month away before PJ Washington is officially extension eligible. He's eligible to sign a 4-year, near $89 million contract extension. You may have to do more reporting on this, but I just wanted to ask you, where do things potentially stand between PJ Washington and the Dallas Mavericks with respect to that contract extension, which feels like probably one of the final pieces of business that they would want to potentially accomplish this summer?
You answered the question. I need to do more reporting on it, because August 29th is still a fair bit away. And this weekend we have some guys who become extension eligible. A certain Luka Dončić in Los Angeles, De'Aaron Fox in San Antonio the day after that. Trae Young's extension eligibility date has slipped my mind. I don't know if Mr. Cato, I see he has the laptop open. Maybe he can help me and look that up while I'm babbling. Trae is also coming up on extension eligibility. So in all candor, I have to say that I've probably been trying to figure those ones out more first, because August 29th is a bit still away. But now that you have chided me publicly for not having an update on it, I will get to work.
August 29th is correct, by the way. Yes.
For Trae as well?
Oh, I don't know about him. Sorry.
Yeah, Trae
I
was
misheard you. I tuned out for a second. I was writing a comment.
Lock in, Cato. Lock in.
I was locked into the comment section.
You can turn Discord off during the show, and
I'm not even on Discord. I'm in the comments. I'm in the live comments. Just because you don't have to pull them up, like you don't have to pull it up, doesn't mean I'm not in it. I am not the victim here, or I am the victim here. Wait, no.
Hey, let Kevin throw to break, please.
Wow. Mark hosts one show.
I know he's all over it, man. He's all over it. Let's take our final break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, more with our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, including the NBA going overseas, boys and girls. More details on that coming up next. But I want you to become part of our DLLS Sports family. And the easiest way that you can do that, become a diehard member. We've got our best offer going right now, $36 right now. Our training camp intro offer, where you can become a diehard member for just $36 a year. Our Dallas Cowboys out in training camp in Oxnard, California. Still waiting on them to pay Micah Parsons. But at the same time, you can become part of our DLLS Sports family. You can scan the QR code if you're watching us here, or if you're listening, go to alldlls.com, click the diehard tab, become part of the DLLS Sports family. Also, what are you pointing at?
Well, I'm not in. You're
not in frame at all. The point. There you go. You wanted to point at. Nope, not at all.
Let's back this way.
That's right. That's right. You can go to store.allcitynetwork.com as well. We've got our new Dallas collection that's available to shop right now. We've got tremendous merchandise. I've got the Mavericks DLLS shirt, part of the Dallas collection as well. I saw our guy John, who produces, of course, the Cowboy Show, wearing the DLLS Sports road sign shirt as well. So we've got tremendous merchandise there as well. So again, store.allcitynetwork.com if you want to get in on that. And we've got our DLLS road trip coming up November 15th to the 18th, where you can hang out with our Cowboys crew, culminating in a Monday Night Football tilt against the Las Vegas Raiders. So you can hang out with Clarence Hill Jr. You can hang out with Jeff Kavanaugh and Jesse Holly as well. Thanks to True Fan Travel for making that happen with the DLLS road trip happening in Sin City. We may be able to warm up Sin City once again for them because we've already done it once. But then we could do it again in October when the Mavericks take on the Lakers at T-Mobile. So again, the best way you can support us here, alldlls.com to become a diehard member. $36 our training camp intro offer, our best offer going right now. And we are less than 2,000 subscribers away from reaching 30,000. So if you can subscribe to DLLS Sports, we're trying to reach 30K by our 1-year anniversary coming up here very, very soon. Let's finish up here on the program today with our national NBA insider, Marc Stein. You can always dial up the Stein line at the Stein line, where we've discussed already. The Mavericks have announced their training camp schedule, preseason schedule, and they'll be in Vancouver for training camp this year. But Marc Stein, the NBA continuing to expand its global footprint and is going to be doing so later on this fall, not only in Vancouver, where there's going to be a preseason game there, but also in London and in England. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, I think you guys know me pretty well by now. So you know I've been covering this story since like the 6 a.m. hour because a lot of this was timed to appeal to the European audience. But basically, there's a lot of things going on here. First of all, Adam Silver and Mark Tatum, they're in Europe this week to meet with, they want to talk to all kinds of potential stakeholders for the NBA Europe League they're working on. Now, today, they specifically announced 6 regular season games over the next 3 years in major European cities.
So not just Paris anymore.
Last season, right. Last season, we saw the Spurs and the Pacers play 2 in Paris. The year before that, they played 1 in Paris. And that's kind of been the January go-to here. But this season, it's going to be Berlin and London. The Desmond Bain Derby, there's going to be 2 straight Desmond Bain Derbies, 1 in Berlin, 1 in London, both regular season matchups in January. In 2027, it will be Manchester getting the London game, which you guys can imagine I will be there. I'm already making plans, yes, for January 2027. I am incredibly psyched. It'll be the first regular season game ever in Manchester. There has been some exhibition play there. I got to cover a Team USA, Team GB game there before the Olympics in 2012 that I'll never forget. But to have a real regular season game at the stadium that is right next to my beloved Manchester City, I think you guys can figure out how much I'm going to be looking forward to that one. And I think that announcing 6 games is just indicative. It's just yet another indication of how much the European market means to the NBA. But I also reported this right before this show started. Adam Silver met today with Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK, he and Mark Tatum. So that kind of shows you like the levels of seriousness that the NBA is trying to apply here in terms of they want to make NBA Europe happen badly, and they want franchises in England. And England doesn't, the British basketball, their top level is far below the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas, the Panathinaikos and Olympiacos in Greece. It's not close to that level. So if there is a team in London, if there is a team in Manchester, they're basically going to have to create those franchises. But then they also were meeting today with officials from Galatasaray, the Turkish soccer power, because Galatasaray, which again, in the world of soccer, a massive, massive, well-known club, Galatasaray would love to have a basketball team in this new NBA Europe separate league that the NBA hopes to start. We don't know how soon it's going to be. Can this be 27, 28, or is that too soon? Exactly how many teams would be in it? How many exist? Like, would Real Madrid and Barcelona join the league? Would they leave the Euro League to do so? Is there a partnership coming that the NBA can work out with FIBA that maybe the Euro League would continue to exist, but maybe EuroLeague clubs or some EuroLeague clubs end up participating in the NBA's league as well. I mean, there's a zillion unknowns, a zillion variables, but I mean, it is very notable that last week of July, both Adam Silver and Mark Tatum are in Europe meeting with a bunch of powerhouse potential partners to try to find parties that want to join this thing. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating to see if the NBA is going to pull this thing off. And there is a direct correlation to NBA expansion, because there is a feeling among many in NBA circles that the NBA wants to do NBA Europe first, possibly first. I don't think it's set in stone, but might we see NBA Europe go down first before expansion? Because this is Adam Silver is All-Star game, finals, his Vegas press conference, the NBA Europe story keeps coming up. It's clear that this is something very important to the league. They see a business opportunity here. Basketball, even at the highest levels in Europe, has never been profitable like we see in soccer. And the NBA thinks that they can go into Europe, start a league of their own with, let's say 12 franchises to start, and really, really make it sing. And it's a really interesting story that has captivated a lot of people around the world who love this game. And I tell you guys this all the time. International basketball is what helped me get my start, being able to cover Vlade Divac and Sarunas Marciulionis and Alexander Volkov when those guys came over for their first summer league. Like that was really my jumping off point. So I've always been very intrigued by this whole part of the basketball ecosystem. And yeah, I've been chasing this stuff all morning because I'm really intrigued by it.
Sounds like a hell of a massive undertaking by the league to potentially create something like this overseas. The logistics involved to create a separate league with the amount of moving parts. First thought that came across my mind was, if they were able to pull something like this off, wouldn't mind seeing a UEFA Champions League type of tournament at some point, where you get the biggest clubs in the world involved, maybe a couple of NBA teams or two who might be willing to participate in something like that. It seems like there's a lot of endless possibilities. I did want to ask you, kind of as a follow-up to why is this so important to Adam Silver specifically, to get something like this off the ground when there have been conversations about expansion here as far as the regular NBA is concerned?
Well, in the old days, or when I was a much younger beat reporter, the talk was always the NBA will eventually expand to Europe. And I think they've just realized, and they've known this for years, it's not like this was a recent realization. It's the practicality of having, even if you added 5 teams and put them all in Europe and had a European division, travel to Europe is still very time consuming. We don't have the Concorde anymore. We don't have supersonic jets that can get us to London in 3 hours. So the practicality of having an NBA franchise in Europe, as much as that was a storyline through the 90s and the 2000s, I think the NBA realizes that that's pretty impractical. And even something that I've been a huge proponent of, purely just me spitballing, selfishly trying to speak this into existence. I always thought the NBA should try to do All-Star Weekend in London or Paris or Berlin. And even doing that, even just taking the league in February, taking so much, taking the league's best players and so many league officials, even just trying to do that for a 5 to 7 day period, even that was considered too daunting. But this is a deal where the NBA, they look in the mirror and say, look, we run leagues. That's what we're good at. That's what we're best at. The NBA thinks it can run a league better than any of the existing entities that have done it in Europe to this point. And I think there are major, major challenges that they're going to face, because soccer in so many of these countries is it is the most popular sport. And in a lot of places, there isn't even a second place. That's not a blanket statement. We could certainly pick out some countries where basketball is much closer to soccer in popularity. But, you know, again, England is the starting point for this conversation because that's where a lot of these meetings are taking place this week. And it's not the case. It's just not. Like, basketball has a long way to, you guys know how much I love England, how often I travel there, how much I love English soccer. But the reality is that basketball is not close to soccer. So if you start teams in London and Manchester with EuroLeague level rosters, how are they going to draw? If Real Madrid or Barcelona enter NBA Europe, if Galatasaray puts a team in NBA Europe, they're going to have huge fan bases because they already have huge fan bases. But how many new teams have to be started from scratch in this venture? That's something we don't have the answer to. It's not clear. But, you know, the London Lions are the, you know, standout franchise currently in British basketball. Could they be brought into the league? Could they be brought into the league instead of having to start from scratch? But in Manchester, you would have to, it would probably be Man City putting a basketball team in NBA Europe. I, of course, would
or
love
United.
That more than anyone.
Or United.
Sorry, my earpiece cutting out. I didn't hear anything. You know, but like, again, it's there are so many steps and so many questions that need to be answered. But the interest is clearly there. I mean, what did we see over the weekend? We saw Mizno Raznadovic, who is connected to Excel Sports as an agent, but one of the most prominent basketball agents in Europe, posting a picture with LeBron James and Maverick Carter on a yacht in Saint-Tropez, I can't even speak, Saint-Tropez, France. And the caption that Mishko put on there was, you know, working on big plans for 2026, because I'm sure you guys have heard of this other league that has enlisted Maverick Carter, LeBron James's longtime business manager, to advise them because they want to raise $5 billion and start their own competitor to the NBA. So clearly there is great interest abroad for multiple leagues that want to get going and start. And it's, like I said, we could talk about this for hours because the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, it's a lot that the NBA is thinking about, and obviously continue to expand its global footprint around the world. Marc, as always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to hanging out with you tomorrow here on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
I will be on the run again the next 2 days, but I will find you guys wherever I am.
Well, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you then.
All right, guys.
That's our National NBA insider, Marc Stein. Good enough to join us here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Fascinating stuff happening across this league with respect to expanding over into Europe, NBA expansion here in the U.S., the NBA going to Canada later on this fall with NBA exhibition games as well. And, of course, your Dallas Mavericks going to be holding training camp in Vancouver, Canada. So the NBA moving about the world in a lot of different ways. So
yeah, but why are they ducking Plano, Texas? My hometown.
Well, you know, they want to build a new arena here in Dallas. Rick Welts.
They want to go to far off, exotic, nomadic places. Yeah, check out this town called Plano.
Okay.
Plano. And
it's a good city. Used to live there. It's good.
I wouldn't go that far.
Wow. Oh, wow. Jeez.
My hometown. I can talk whatever I want about it.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Well, I'll let you disrespect the good folks over there in Plano.
My parents don't even live there anymore, so, you know. It's not like I'm trashing them.
Well, good. That's good to know. We appreciate our guy Tanner making us look good and sound good as always. Thank you, sir. Of course, we will have our regular show again tomorrow. Don't forget, Bobby's out for the week on vacation. So shout out to our guy.
So tell your friends they can tune in again.
If you want to see a Bobby Carella-less program, you can tune in for the next week or so.
No, I miss him already.
I do too. That's our guy. He loves his Mavericks basketball. But it's time for us to get out of here. Ready to go?
Let's go.
Let's go. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports. We're trying to reach 30K by our 1-year anniversary coming up here in less than a month. So the easiest way you can support us here is subscribe to DLLS Sports and download and subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts for free. Just search DLLS Mavs, give it a 5-star rating, and write a review for it while you're there. We'll be back tomorrow right here at 12 p.m. on DLLS Sports. That's our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. Y'all be good and enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.